every week. And so the principal just decided that's it. We're not taking anybody else that's not from our catchment area. We lost no, maybe 800 students from her decision. And we lost a bunch of teachers too. But it was such a problem that with the fighting and the gangs that she just made a command decision, which was pretty severe. But we were doing our best to work with it, breaking up fights and having discussions. We had a special person come in and teach the classes how to get along. But sometimes I guess the problem is bigger than you can handle.
Yeah. It sounds like sometimes community trauma is something that becomes systemic.
Right.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about individual trauma, community trauma. I'd love to pivot a little bit and think about addressing trauma. So, are there coping strategies or ways that you've seen, or been able to help your students foster resilience when they face trauma?
Well, one of the things I like about teaching is you never really master it. You never really got it. It's always a challenge. What worked yesterday won't work today or tomorrow. What worked with this student won't work with the other student. But I find in general, if I can maintain my sense of patience and sense of humor, it really goes a long way. If I haven't had enough sleep, or if I'm overworked or stressed out, then that affects the other students, whatever they're going through. And they're dependent on me, not only to teach the curriculum, but to answer all the problems and soothe things out and calm feelings and, like I said before, de-escalate. But I can't do any of that if I'm a mess. So one thing I've been doing for the last year and a half is exercising a little too much. The reason I had knee surgery is I overdid the bicycling. Just bicycling like 18 miles, which is too much. I kind of ruined my knee. But that to me was my answer of solving problems was, okay, I'll leave the classroom right away and exercise, get plenty of sleep, maybe get a massage and go to a movie, and then I'll be ready. But you can't overdo the exercise. Just for those out there to be careful.
I love that. So you had some self-care going on. Actually, this is a really interesting topic. We think a lot about like what you bring in the classroom, right? Like how do you actually foster your own resilience? So you're talking a little about your self-care.
Yeah.
Are there examples that stand out to you when your mindset really affected how you showed up in the classroom, whether positively or negatively?
Well, I actually, at one time, I was trying to be an actor before I was a teacher, and I did stand-up comedy at the Comedy Store on Sunset. So anyway, I have some experience not only with comedy, but with just talking to groups. I did plays, which over the years I thought this is really helpful, and it's too bad more teachers don't have that experience, because what are you doing all day? You're talking to a group. You're trying to convey a message to an audience, and you have to be clear. So I think all of that has helped me over the years. I personally have developed a sense of humor that I already had before, but kind of by watching more and more comedy shows at night to de-stress, or even if the late night comics talking about political stuff. But it's been a great therapy for me. So I'm in the classroom and there's a real problem going on. I have perspective. Now, can I solve everyone's problem? No, I have the school counselor. I've got an intervention counselor. I've got other teachers to help, the parents. So I may be just one stop along the way to their solving their problems, but
I'll pause you right there.
Yeah.
There's an airplane.
my guess is that doesn't go anywhere.
I know. I was just kidding. I'm not that person. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, you can't solve every problem.
No, I mean, I think back to I had knee surgery recently, and some of the doctors that treated me, they didn't come in frantic and screaming at the blood or, oh my goodness, you're not going to survive. Many of them, very experienced. They had sense of humor or perspective at least, or okay, look, this isn't the worst thing ever. Okay, yes, I hear you. You have a problem. It's serious, but let's keep in mind the long view, the big view, and we're going to get through this. Let's look at what it's going to be like, on the other side. They didn't say all that, but it's kind of an attitude when I talk about having a sense of humor, sense of perspective, patience. It's so important, and students need that even more if they're going through some kind of trauma.
Love that. I think our last question, something that I'm curious about is, when you think about partnering beyond, you talked a lot, oh, sorry, am I leaning? Sorry, thank you. Okay, when you talk about like the other people who are involved as this ecosystem, like your intervention specialists, counselors, parents and caregivers are a big part of this too. Sometimes they have a great experience, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes educators have a great relationship, and sometimes they don't. Could you maybe talk a little bit about what does it take to form a great relationship with parents or caregivers, and why is it important?
Well, as a special ed teacher, of course, I meet with parents in this individualized education program meeting, and a lot of my time is spent getting this document, 30-page document, to present to the parents. So my relationship to parents, I think, is a little bit more than most teachers who don't have those parent meetings on a regular basis. And I don't always just have one a year. Sometimes it'll be several a year. So because I have that contact with the parent, it doesn't just go away when the meeting's over. It continues. They'll have my phone number and my email, and so many general ed teachers will say, "Oh, I never give my phone number to anybody." You never do that. No, never do that. But I'm trying to set up these meetings, and there's problems, and I'm trying to tell them I'm available anytime for you, and so how are they going to reach me? But anyway, I haven't had a problem. It's not for everybody. Some people use a Google phone number or whatever it is. But anyway, just being there for the parent and encouraging the constant exchange. During the last year and a half, I've been teaching online on Zoom. And sometimes I had to call the parents. A student checked in the beginning of the class. I keep calling on the student, and there's no answer. Can you just, and in many cases the parent was home with the student, can you just check and see where are they? Because in my district we cannot insist on the screen being on. So we're looking at what we call name screens. You just see a black screen with a white name on it, and we're teaching to a bunch of name screens, which is so frustrating.
Traumatizing for a teacher, honestly.
And then you're calling on the student, there's no response. And then I read in the newspaper that many students are just checking in at the beginning of class and then go to a movie or go skateboarding. They're gone. So being able to call the home and say, hey, I'm calling on your child, there's no response. Just, it really just helps to have that exchange of information. But it goes both ways. I've had parents contact me and say, look, I'm confused about this, or can you help me with this, or my child is graduating and we don't know all the things they have to do. And I've never had a problem. I increased that. I think some teachers kind of run away from that, but anything I can do to strengthen my relationship with parents is pure gold for my job. It just makes it so much easier because now I have a co-teacher, co-worker at home. That's instead of, parents can be an a rival to the teacher, and no, not my Esmeralda. She would never do something like that. She's perfect, but instead enforcing, my message, they're enforcing it at home. If there's any way to get the parents back on your side, it's absolutely critical.
Awesome. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions that I wanted to ask. I think we're good. I think we got a lot of good footage.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sure.